Blake, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen in the wild?
Toby, don't you remember when we were behind Need to Breathe in line for tacos?
Welcome to the Church Gear Podcast, where we pull the tech out of the booth and onto the stage to share the most outlandish stories and hidden wisdom from the tech trenches. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm your host, Blake Hodges, a man who could barely breathe when I saw my favorite worship band, and I'm here with my co-host who can breathe underwater, Toby Walters.
I would love to be able to breathe underwater. I wonder what I would do with that superpower. I've often wondered, like, if I could have a superpower, what would it be? Of course, when I'm a teenage boy, I'm like, I want to be invisible.
Toby, don't admit that. Well, clap. Can we clap in this setting? I don't know if we can clap.
You can't. You just got to go with it. What would you do? What would be your superpower if you could?
Well, I definitely think it would be to eat as much as I want and not get fat, Toby.
I was just going to say, like, if your superpower could be to just get skinny.
Yeah,
so we were both tracking.
To travel to MTSU, MXU today, I had to toast some bagels, put them in a little Ziploc baggie to keep my calories under control. Meanwhile, Eric walks into the room. I'm sitting over there, hunched over, eating this bagel, looking like a rabid raccoon. So yeah, I would like to be able to eat whatever I want.
Yeah. So I did love seeing Need to Breathe in the wild. I guess I've seen them twice now at the factory. So I think they come into town, they'll like do writing sessions, recording studios, and they'll come to the factory to get tacos, coffee. Like you see a lot of kind of Christian celebs at the factory. It's kind of the landing spot.
I can't remember if it was Chris Tomlin or someone else, but there was one of those that I took a piss next to in the factory. I think
it was Stephen Curtis Chapman. I remember you telling me.
There we go. It's now been so long, but I was like, oh snap. Like you do the thing where you Google them right after you're still peeing in the urinal. You're like, I should probably do one of these activities at once.
Yeah.
Toby, why don't you hit us with the intro story though? Because we're going quite off the rails.
Well, that's what we do here. So I went to Austin, Texas last week to visit churches, and I used to live in Austin. I like to say I start trends because I grew up in San Diego, then everybody moved there, then Austin, now Nashville. So
can you tell me where you're moving next so I can get in the market first?
Nope. Trying to keep it a secret. So visiting all these churches, and I know that a lot of celebrities live in Austin. I know a lot about Austin because I used to live there, but also like it's a very bubbling city as far as that. And so I was asking some of the churches, celebs. And so one, Matthew McConaughey goes there.
All right.
And they said actually he was going to be on stage this weekend. So, I mean, whenever this comes out, this will be previously.
And you didn't stay to see that?
I know. I wish I could have, but kind of sharing his faith story, I'm like, that's a nice thing to be able to, have every now and then. Matthew McConaughey coming on stage. Another church said that Joe Rogan goes to their church every week. So I was like, those are some legit celebs. That's not like Christian celebs. That's like real world celebs.
I would love to have an actual like bourbon and conversation with Joe Rogan because he's so excitable. He's so like, wow, like he just seems fun to talk to. He had a fun episode with a biblical scholar. If you've seen that episode, so that one was pretty nice. But okay, well, who else you run into?
And it's also fun because like often we're just like neck and neck with Rogan's podcast as far as number one in the world.
I thought we were ahead of him.
I mean, right now we are today. Okay. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have much neck, so when we're neck and neck, it's not that far.
Yeah. So craziest thing I saw in the wild. So I went to this church, and we don't blast churches here, and it's not necessarily bad, but it'll lead to an interesting conversation. So this church, they're probably 12 to 1,500 people. So like a decent sized church. Their room seats about 500. They're growing like crazy. They need to build a new auditorium. They've got one production guy that started about 3 months ago, and then a bunch of volunteers.
Hold on tight, buddy.
Yeah. So that production guy, before he started that church, had never even seen a DiGiCo 338. What console do you think they have, Blake?
A DiGiCo 339.
339. Yes, exactly. So just seeing a DiGiCo 338 totally out of context in a room that seats about 500. I'm not saying it's the right choice or the wrong choice, but we're going to totally talk about how everybody's struggling in that production team because nobody knows how to use it. It's like if I gave you a rocket ship and I was like, now get to Mars, Blake. You don't know how to use a rocket ship? This is insane.
I would just tweet Elon and he would take me there.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of the people that I'm going to tweet to take us there today, introducing the Overlord and the Underlord at MXU, you be the judge of who is who, Spencer DeYoung and Dillan Howell. Let's talk consoles, boys.
They're just going to roll
are we coming in? I thought y'all were going to rush in, not turtle in.
I love how we're on your set and we told you guys get out of the set.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Who's the Overlord?
Let's talk consoles. Let's talk gear. By the way, I was wondering why normally you guys have like the gear porn behind you and stuff. Do you want us to go get some and put it?
I just want you to go get some more Adderall for me. I had my first dose, but I need my second.
Dillan and I, okay, that without context, that's a dangerous joke, okay?
What is that piece of gear right there?
Old movie projector, film projector, like from the 50s.
I got no clue.
I'm just seeing a spray painted D&B box.
Yeah. Well, it's subtly almost MXU yellow, but anyways, the Adderall joke is because people think that Dylan and I sometimes take Adderall and not take Adderall. We got accused of not taking Adderall.
What would it do to you? I literally have no idea. What would it do to you if you did take it?
I don't know. I don't do it.
Would it make you focus, less focus?
I have friends who do it, and they apparently can they take it and they just get things done.
But we get people come at us in the comments saying you guys forgot to take your Adderall today, and we're like, should we be taking Adderall?
Toby, I think I came pre-built with Adderall.
Anyways.
That's what that sounds like.
You
I'm
like to
always
focus.
ready.
You can focus.
Yeah.
Blake, when you come over to other people's homes, do you always dress like this?
Other people's homes. This is dressed up for you guys.
Yeah,
I'll have
shocking.
you know. I mean, I'm normally in a loincloth and an American Eagle shirt from 2008 with some holes.
Why would you have a loincloth when you don't wear underwear? Famously, don't wear underwear.
I find that to be the good combination between underwear and pants.
It's amazing.
You guys should try it sometime.
I want to, because we're talking about this 338. So we have a church that has no idea how to use a 338, and they bought a 338 under what I would say is very questionable advisement. And now they have a console they don't know how to use, yet they can't afford to sell it because they take a loss. I'd love to hear you guys.
Why are you doing this?
Yeah. Why?
I'm
just gets in and just
let's
get
you know.
Yeah, let's do
I know. Did you bring matches, Blake, for this dumpster fire? Let's go.
That's the thing. I already lit it outside though. The smoke is rolling in.
Yeah.
Hold on. The church bought a 338
Yes.
from you guys, or
No.
like just they just bought it.
Whoa! We don't light ourselves on fire.
Okay, so they bought a 338. They have a. Do you know what console they have that they're trying to sell?
No, they have a 338 still. They are stuck because they can't afford to sell it because according to their finance guy, they'd take too big a loss. They can't afford to do that.
Why do they want to sell it? Because they don't know how to use it.
Because it's way too much console and they don't know how to use it. And
So
they have
in the big boy world, outside of church world, that person who influenced the church to buy that console probably should be let go.
Sure.
Are they there anymore though?
No.
Oh well.
That's too bad.
They've already followed your advice,
Yeah,
Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is a good lesson because this is what we're broken record around here. When you're making these purchasing decisions for your church or you're advising, because you're talking about the TD or whoever was a part
Yeah,
of.
you can't make decisions. You can't buy things like that and not know how to use it. That's too much.
and
You
you
say
just-
burp by?
Yeah,
That's
whatever.
awesome.
You also have to just recognize that you may not be there long term, and like this is a bigger thing than just you. And so yeah, it's kind of a take some responsibility. Yeah, that's really sad.
Because they have 3 venues and they got a 338 in their worship center. And then they've got a dying X32 in their youth space. And then they've got something else, maybe an M32 for their like portable setup. And what they really need is 3 DM7s or 3 LV1s, something that is very volunteer friendly because they're fully volunteer run and is the same across campuses.
But they are stuck with the 338, so they need to immediately.
They're not stuck.
Well, if the finance guy who seems like he's got his head on straight says, "Hey, if we sell that, we automatically lose $80,000. It's like buying a new car off the
Yeah,
lot.
totally.
It loses value immediately." Then they are stuck. So they need to be trained immediately. They need to.
Well, their
they need
mindset is stuck. I mean, you can sell that 338
yeah.
and you can get 3 LV1s.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get 3
And that's what I'm
DM7s.
saying.
You can-
Take the bath, just learn your lesson, take the pain so you don't do it again.
But if the finance guy's not willing to do that, then we need to get them training. They need to get trained ASAP on that, and then they need to bring in guys or girls and get in the weeds. And we talk about this all the time. I mean, not using the example of a 338, but utilizing what you have today, right? And that's what they have today. And their finance guy may say, no, you convinced me to buy this console. I'm not about to take a big hit on selling it. You're going to learn how to use it. So go.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. I want to talk to that finance guy and change his mind.
And the problem is the you is no longer there.
Yeah.
So he's now
that person-
saying, you new guy, figure out how to use this thing.
that is context that matters, because yes, that I would agree with that. But if it was the same guy, I would say, no, you're going to go learn how to use this and you're going to use it the right way.
And so they're building a new worship center because they've totally outgrown their space. They're going to do 1,600 seats in this new auditorium. And they budgeted, I'm not saying this is a right or wrong number, they budgeted $600,000 for the complete audio system in a 1,600 seat auditorium. And he's, their new guy's like, that is a really tight budget for 1,600 seats. And it's so funny. They both have the opposite side of the argument. The finance guy is saying, yeah, but we already bought you the DiGiCo 338. And he's saying, you already spent $100,000 just on a console. Yeah.
Why did you come here to just break us this morning? It just hurts.
Spencer, you and I DM'd that you love helping people pick the right gear. Like, let's not overpay for gear.
Yeah, that's true.
This is your soapbox. We're delivering you your soapbox.
It just breaks me.
We try to prevent it.
Yeah, now we're having to live in it.
This is, I mean, yeah.
And we do want to clarify, a 338 is awesome. In the right
Killer
context, it is awesome.
Killer effects on the 338. A great console.
Yeah. And a lot of churches would kill for a 338.
I still prefer the Midas, but it's fine.
You don't even know what you're
Maseratis
saying.
are sweet cars.
Yeah.
Really cool. They
But
go
if you got
fast.
a family.
They're really, might not make sense.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just simply can't afford one, you know?
Mhm.
So all that to say, yeah, but honestly, guys, so much of that just comes from, and we talk about this all the time around here. It's like two things can be true at once. 338 can be a killer console and not appropriate for your church. And just because you're the same size, just because your buddy who works at a church that is where you want to be sometime in the future, so much of it is comparison. How many people now on Instagram do you see mixing? They just started posting because they got a new console and they're like, well, now I can show people what I'm doing because I'm behind a 338. So we talked about that yesterday, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that all the time around here. It's just what you have is now becoming the new idolatry in the world of worship and tech ministry.
So if you had to send your piece of advice, it sounds like, is this where y'all are landing? That you're like, no, I'm going to really make my case to the finance guy. And then Dillan, you're like, all right, I'm going to have to get trained on this console. Is that where we land? That's their options?
Dylan's wrong. I mean, I don't think he doesn't know what he's talking
I didn't say who was right.
Apparently, he's the underlord.
If we're sending options.
Unlike Spencer, I've had to answer to the finance guy several times and for bad purchases that
Spencer
I've made
is the finance guy.
in large church. Well, for his company, he's the finance guy, but not for mine. And I would be told, train him. I've already spent the money, train him. That's what I would be told.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, our producer's dad was my boss, and he was the finance guy at the time. And he several times said, "That's your mistake. Fix it. Not mine."
And I'm going to say, always do right by your people. And what's right by your people in this situation, especially because those same people are the ones who bought the console. So it's like, hey, we're going to use the people who bought this console. We're going to use their funds to put a tool in place that doesn't serve them or the ministry best. It's very clear. We've already established there are other consoles that would be better for the ministry. 3 LV1s, 3 DM7s, whatever. And you could easily, I don't have the math fully figured out here, but I don't think you'd have to go burn more cash to make that happen. I think you just have to accept a paper loss. And at the end of the day, accept the paper loss, say, yeah, learn the hard lesson, not going to do it again, but we're going to do right by our people in this situation. You know, two wrongs don't make a right.
It's not wrong making someone go learn how to use the console they purchased.
No, but it's the wrong solution. I'm not saying wrong. It's the wrong solution when
If
we
the
have
console-
other consoles that are dying.
If the console didn't work,
Oh my goodness.
it's the wrong solution. But
No,
the
but
console
I'm
works.
saying look at the other consoles in the other rooms. Toby already laid out the backstory. There's other consoles in other rooms that are not serving the church holistically.
Well, he said die in X32, which is also the M32.
And Blake, I told you if we did a podcast here, we wouldn't have to do anything. They'll just argue.
All right.
Yeah, I'm moving to Knoxville.
We are doing exactly what they want us to do.
So, Spencer, we totally didn't introduce either of you. Speaking of the X32, if
Do
they
need no introduction? Or
they
we're
don't,
saying-
but we're still going to do it.
Great.
If
Didn't
that
you just have this guy on your podcast? I mean,
hey, if they get stuck where they have to learn the DiGiCo 338, do you guys have training on that at MXU?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you do at MXU? Give a quick snapshot. Like, they get stuck in Dylan's option, they should come to you guys, apparently.
Thank you.
I don't like him being here.
Here I am pushing people. Get them trained. Get them trained. Get them trained. He's like, no, we don't need to train them.
Yeah. Just burn the gear.
Yeah, MXU, we die on the hill of volunteer development, volunteer health, team health, building sustainable ministry with the people that you have. So, we do that with a platform, a learning management system, the only learning management system for worship and tech ministry in the church that was purpose built for the worship and tech ministry, paired with thousands of videos on how to achieve excellence in the worship and tech ministries.
Sweet. So if you need some training, if you get stuck with a piece of gear, go to MXU. And then Dylan, You want to give a quick snapshot? I know we just had you on, but again, maybe people don't listen to every single episode. Maybe they just tuned in here for the battle match. So who is my fighter entering in this side of the ring?
My name is Dillan. Spencer asked me to jump on board and co-host the MXU podcast. So that's what I've been doing with the MXU folks over here. Own a company called Event Ready. We do production, live production, ballrooms, convention centers, arenas, help out in any way we can. Try to make the event planners what we see nightmare once a year when they have to put on an event. We want to try to make those guys and girls sleep again.
And Dylan's specialty, I don't know if you guys heard this, but his specialty is actually weddings.
See, and I kept my mouth shut during your introduction, and I could have easily jumped in and said, unless it's a 338, unless it's got to be the LV1.
Do you do weddings, but only at like a crazy markup?
We don't do weddings. I'll attend your wedding.
If Taylor Swift comes to you and says, "I want you to do my wedding for a crazy,"
Oh, he's doing it for sure.
All right,
100%.
Yeah, I mean,
if it helps the gram, for sure, he's going to do that.
I mean, if I'm like, hey, sorry, Taylor, can't make it, who would do that?
So because this has got you guys so upset, I'm just going to keep going on it. And because it gives me a chance to promote my book again. There's a story in my book of I was out in Fresno and buddy from House Right was hanging out at church out there. And so a group of us were just hanging out. And then he said, all right, guys, I got to go help this church learn how to use a 338. And I'm like, what? Why did church buy a 338 and they don't know how to use it? So he explained they had an X32. It was great for Sunday mornings, but then they do a Christmas program and they'd have more inputs than the X30 could handle. So an integrator told them, you should just buy a 338. So that's what they did. And they have no idea how to use it.
That's not real. That didn't happen. That did not happen. I want names.
Shame on that integrator.
So how often are you guys coming across churches that are struggling? Number one problem is they have the wrong gear.
And they might not have even been at fault, They trusted this integrator.
Yeah, they trust the wrong person.
Hire a trusted source. Okay.
I personally,
I want to see fire erupt from Spencer's skull.
Yeah, it's getting close.
I would like to think that I personally don't know any integrators that would do that. I'm just
Same.
Just gonna say it out there. I know they exist. I know there's horror stories. I know you got a couple of horror stories in your book. I know that I have several friends who have horror stories of money disappearing with integrators, selling the wrong gear. I showed up to a church here in town to help them, and they had all their lighting was completely out of whack. And I'm like, who sold you this? Learned later that it was an integrator that needed to move gear off his shelf. It was better for him, wasn't better for the church. Shame on these people.
Yeah.
And there could be a chance that these guys will be held accountable for this one day.
Oh, they getting held accountable at the very, very end.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And so I hope that me in my space, I'm live production, I don't do integration work, but I do live events. I hope that when I hear stories like this, man, I just pray that we just never become that way.
And even more often in my experience, I'll go to churches, I'd be like, why'd you do it this way? And they said, that's the guy that used to be here. That's the way he wanted it. That's the way he liked it. But it doesn't make any sense for our volunteers going forward.
Can you repeat the question?
How often are you guys coming across churches that maybe not their number one problem, but like a huge problem is they simply have the wrong gear?
Yeah. I don't know if it's always. So I find that the most frustrating circumstances are that they have just the wrong gear. They've already spent the money and the wrong gear's in the building. I do think more often than not, this is why I'm encouraged by what you guys do at Church Gear, more often than not, people just don't have the gear at all. Right? They don't have any gear. They're using gaff tape. They're scraping by.
Duct tape.
Sorry, they're using duct tape. Yeah, exactly. That's your analogy that you always use. They don't have the right tools because it's due to a lack of resources and so on and so forth. So I do want to be honest that I think that is the more common problem in the church is that they just don't have access to the tools. But the thing that can tend to be pretty wasteful and frustrating is just you walk in, and this tends to happen more in the church with more resources because they can spend money easier and quicker. And you see the stories that you're sharing are just not, unfortunately, they're not really edge cases. They're not uncommon. This just happens. what I love is that you're documenting it. That's great. I love that these stories are being documented.
It should be documented.
It's not hearsay.
I have joked about making the integrator like no list, and I kind of want to do that someday.
Yeah.
Could do it.
Unfortunately, yeah, and it's tough. It's tough because we want to talk about these issues. I now, this past year, it seems that I've made more enemies than friends in this area because there's just there's that list is long. I'll say that.
That means you stood for something if you made some enemies.
For sure. Yeah, it's just that list is long. There's a lot of people on that list. And, but yeah, we don't really know a lot of them personally because we stay away from them. Like I only have like a couple integrator friends. And that's because of this issue.
So if you're advising a church and, obviously they can call MXU to get good advice, but if a friend says, yeah, we got the wrong gear, we got bad advice, what would you tell them for how to get good advice? What are some options that a church should do to get good advice that they're not going to buy the wrong gear?
Measure twice, cut once.
I have an answer, but I'll let you go first.
Well, have they already purchased the gear, or they're getting ready to purchase the gear and they want to make sure they purchase the right gear, or are they stuck? They have the gear.
So, for anybody, in this example we're using, church has the wrong gear. They're saying, yeah, we got bad advice. Next time, where do we go for right advice?
Right or wrong, it's always going to be opinionated. There's nothing wrong with getting multiple people's advice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's nothing wrong with, integrators hate this, but it is what it is. Three quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Gosselin, you're rolling in your grave right now. You hate Dillan right now.
Jake Gosselin is a little different because his heart truly is like, he has shown
He's the one integrator that has the right heart.
No. Nope.
Cut it, clip and post it.
Nope. That is
Love
not
Jake.
Dylan Howell's words. But I know Jake's heart. He's proven himself that he wants to help the church. That's a complete separate opposite bad example. But you don't know Jake Gosselin. You don't even know who Jake Gosselin is.
Mm-hmm.
And my pastor's telling me I need to put a new PA in my room. There is no problem with you going and get different opinions on what that PA should be, what the price should be. And then there's no problem with getting involved in the MXU community or the church gear community.
Mm-hmm.
People that have gone before, have made these big purchases before, DM somebody and, hopefully they'll DM you back. Sometimes they don't. Just be like, hey, we're looking at a PA upgrade here. I just want to know your thoughts on this, and start just asking questions and getting advice from multiple people instead of just thinking like you have it all figured out and you're getting ready to buy a 338 and that's what you've been told to do, and your integrator is going to sell it to you for 100 and he's going to make 40 or 50, and it's like, bro, what did you just do? Like, that's, now you're stuck. So I would say gather all the advice you can from multiple angles.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I would take it a step further and go find 3 folks who either have a resume you can look at, or I'm always a fan of going to the church down the street and we don't need to do this. Oh, I'm going to go find the everyone kind of thinks when I say that, it's like, go find the mega church in your town and ask them what they think. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm saying, go find a church who's been around for a long time, who has a lot of wisdom. The reason they're still around today is because of the wisdom they have and because they've been able to be a church for sometimes hundreds of years. And that's actually pretty hard to do. And so even go pick their brain, be like, man, how are you guys? What gear are you guys using in your ministry?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we're seeing. And we just kind of want to learn from you. Like when you're parenting children, you want to go hear from other people in your stage of life. Like, how are you handling this with your children? Because you're in it too.
Mm.
And what are you learning? Don't always find the people who were parenting 20 years ago, because sometimes they have some good advice, but there's also some things that it's like, yeah, maybe take that, but also take the other advice as well. And so I think we tend to just go after like either the people who were paying to give us advice, which oftentimes, let's just be real, there's incentive there on their part.
Mm-hmm.
And so find people who don't have financial gain from giving you advice. And then also look at the people who might be in similar sized church to you, similar style of worship, similar style of ministry, and go, what's worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? And at the end of the day, you have to educate yourself. And there's more knowledge today than ever. You got YouTube, you got ChatGPT, like you got a lot of tools at your fingertips to be able to sniff out some of this. And so,
yeah. And to piggyback off that, a similar approach would be maybe you don't have the option. Maybe you're being told this is our integrator. Maybe your boss is saying this is who we've always used.
We've heard that option too.
Okay, so they don't have the right
Yep.
by like their organizational standards. Like I can't interview other integrators.
Yeah.
It would be inappropriate for me to slide into the DMs of guys who may know how to, because I would be going against but what you can do is you can ask that integrator that you have to use, hey, who are 3 or 4 churches that you've done projects for recently?
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to those guys.
Yep.
And pick up the phone. And if that integrator has character up front, they have no problem telling you, these are the people that we've worked with. They're the 3 or 4 churches that we just worked with. Here are the numbers, call them, so that I can say, hey, how did this integrator do for you guys? How did they work for you? And they can say, dude, they sold us something we did not need. And now we are. And then you can go to your supervisor and say, hey, I understand you want me to use these guys, which is great. I did do a reference check on these guys, and they are known right now to whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the masses, definitely greater than 90% of the churches out there in 2026 are not going to have anything to do with an integrator. And they're going to go to eBay, churchgear.com. They're going to go to all these places trying to fulfill their gear needs.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that you need to do is go get educated, because I do think you don't need to be an expert in all things AVL to be able to lead a worship and tech ministry, but you can't sit on the sidelines and go, that's not my thing. Because you're going to have to make purchasing decisions, and you're likely not going to have the budget to work with an integrator.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have to go get educated.
Yeah. I think an easy one, like, do this with caution, but if your church is thinking about getting a 338, throw it up into Church Sound Media Text, one of the forums on Facebook. Be like, hey, my church thinking of a 338. Like, is this a good idea?
Tell them your church size.
Yeah,
like
you
got to
filter through the nonsense, but you'll get.
And there will be a
like,
lot of it.
80 people being like, wait a second, hold on, time out, why?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll ask why, and then you'll get enough people saying the same thing, whys, questions over and over. But I love what you said about like the church down the street. So I've found this specific tactic works almost every time. So when I went to Austin, I started asking around, and then I kept hearing the same name over and over and over. And I'll just say it, Ivan Diaz in Austin is like, a lot of people know him. They're like, he is the like kindest, most wisest guy, and he knows everybody. And so once you know that person, be like, Ivan, would you ever like, can I buy you lunch? Can you come over and just give us some advice? And then he's, if you're thinking about getting a 338, Ivan might advise you, but he might also be, these 3 churches in town have one. Go see it. Go sit with it. Go ask those questions. So knowing your community.
Yeah.
Yep, it's good.
I think that's a tricky one, man. I'm just almost always going to be a fan of don't make the purchase. Like, make the purchase when it is just so freaking painful. Like when the gospel is just very clearly, you're struggling to be able to share the gospel, and you have to, like, all the channels are dead. You don't have the inputs that you need to be able to effectively run service. But like, if you're buying a 338 because you love the way that the reverb sounds, which it sounds freaking incredible, it's just a dumb reason, in my opinion. It's just a dumb reason to like. I just talked to a church the other day who was like, yeah, we went from a Ravage to a 338, changed my life. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, seriously? Like, what? You guys are a 1,000-person church, and so it's like, there's just so much better things you could do with that. At the end of the day, if you're upgrading your gear because of personal preference, it's just kind of a clown move, in my opinion.
Dylan, I understand why you sit on the opposite side of the table. You got to distance yourself from Spencer's opinion sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just safe.
It's just a safer place to be.
Yeah.
My takeaway from this is Spencer's verse of the year is the verse on counting the cost, because he seems very dead set on count that cost and don't make that purchase unless you've really counted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say like, wait till all your channels are dead before you. I'd be like, get
I'm
the
being
gear you
dramatic.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm being dramatic. I think we just have we have the opposite problem, where right now it's really sexy to be like, forecast the issues you're going to have 10 years down the road, and make that purchase decision now. And that's the wise things for you to do. And I don't think that's the case.
You think church just doesn't, that sounds like a good theory. Like I'm a big planner, huge planner. I like that theory, but is it just in reality, church just doesn't grow that way? Like, it's just not feasible to really think about, like, use that?
I think in theory it sounds nice, but like anything, these things just get now they become weaponized, and it's like, and I just have these conversations every day. I'm so close to this issue that it becomes very personal, because you'll hear tech leaders who are like, I really want, we keep picking on the 338. I'm sorry, DiGiCo.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep picking on it.
It's an amazing console in the right context.
But to add to that, everyone's 338 looks different.
Yeah, sure.
Someone may be dreaming of a Ravage. Someone may be dreaming of a
LV1.
Yes.
A Pappy Van Winkle.
So like,
338s
let's
can be-
move into like X32 to LV1, for example, maybe.
Yeah.
And honestly, the gap there is much bigger. I could make a bigger case for that move than going from like a Ravage to a 338. Sure. But everybody has that idea that the thing they need. And so then they go, and so they've already made up in their mind, I want this thing. So now it becomes, what narrative do we need to adopt so that we get it? And what I find frequently these days is the really common narrative that people want to adopt is, we're future-proofing. We're making sure that we're allowed, rising tide, pastor, new people coming, we want to, it's like, and so that whole case, which at one point in time would be probably a wise thing to think through, is now being like weaponized into like the primary way tech leaders get their way in the gear, in the purchasing decisions. And so I think, yeah, I tend to just say we need to maybe go the opposite direction for a while and stop. We bought billions of, the church collectively on worship and tech equipment spent billions last year. We talk about this all the time, billions of dollars. And what's the thing that we continue to run up against is that people aren't equipped to do the job right. But yet we're throwing money at equipment that's just making the issue worse. I just heard of a church that just purchased a brand new PA, spent $500,000 or more on this PA, and the next weekend it sounded worse. And
That's fun.
And this is I hear that all the time, because it's all that to say it's a training issue. These are training issues.
So should they throw the money somewhere else? I'll lob this one up of like, hey, if you want to future proof, if you want to grow your tech ministry and you want to spend some money, maybe not spend it on the 338, maybe spend it on the tech leader.
You suggesting like more salary? You think
like if you had to pick between the nice gear or the like, this is a tech leader that we have paid a good salary for, and we know that they are dedicated and they're putting in the work. They're doing the MXU training. Like they've got some years of experience. They're here. Maybe spend it on that instead. I'm just throwing it out there. We did a pay series a couple years ago, and it really opened my eyes up to this topic, that we're comfortable spending money on gear and not the person running the gear. And I don't care what fancy car you have, NASCAR car, you got to have a driver.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well,
it depends on scale. That's my immediate.
My first mind goes to multi-site church. Like, more often than not, there are a few churches out there, and I mean few, that do multi-site church very, very well. Meaning, I can go into any campus inside of this organization, and it feels like their brand. It feels like their church. It's very few churches that can pull that off.
Life Church is leading the charge on that.
Yes. It feels
Never
like,
heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like Life Church. And
Your Uncle Craig just cried a little inside, Blake.
Yeah. So when I was a part of a staff at a multi-site church, more often than not, I would go to at the time we called them campus producers, but I think they're worship pastors now. I'd go to the worship pastors at that campus and say, what are y'all's needs right now? What do you guys need? I'm talking multi-site church only. I realize that's a rare breed, but in the grand scheme of church world in America, but I'm like, what do y'all need? And it would be like, we just need new XLRs. Our cables are shot. So here I am getting ready to approve our technical director or production director to purchase a new console that's $150,000 console or whatever, new LED wall, that's $500,000. And I'm going, man, but our multi-sites just need XLRs. Like as a leader, I'm missing the mark on where our money should be going. So before you purchase anything, large or small, as the leader, you should know exactly what's happening in your team, whether it be personal. We might have an administrator who's been on our team for 3 years who's gotten paid the same amount of money since the day we've hired that person. But as a leader, I just may not be in tune with that. And I could go to that person and say, hey, what do you think we need as a ministry? And this person may go, can I just be honest with you? I'd like a 2% raise because I've been here for 5 years and I've not received $1. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I didn't realize that. I was getting ready to buy a $150,000 console. ask your people what they think they need. This can get into the go to Facebook and write in the Sounds Church Text Media thing, because you're opening up a can of worms when you ask people questions. But as a leader, be able to filter that, diagnose it, and give solutions to the problem. You have money. Your leaders are saying you have money to spend, obviously. So what are you going to do with that money? Just make sure you do the right thing with it. And I would always argue against.
Do it, Dylan. Say it. Use your anger.
Maybe not argue. I would just always ask the question, why do you need something like that? You're out of inputs. Maybe you have too many things on stage. How could you possibly be out of inputs?
How dare you come for Sister Martha's mic?
Now, even for your church has a big orchestra, a big choir, then yeah, you need all the inputs. I get it. But
I want to drop a bomb in because it just came to me, and this is fun to see you guys get all heated up. So massive church, 4,500 seat auditorium, and they had ceiling tiles missing and falling out. Their PA was 20 plus years old. Drivers are out. It's dying. And they bought a gigantic Chinese LED wall because the pastor's like, that's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with that? Like asking, what do you need? A giant LED wall? Like,
yeah. So unfortunately in those scenarios, it's that pastor probably has elevated someone of image, and he watches their sermons and sees their church and says, if we had that, we could be this. And he's probably a disconnected leader and doesn't know what's actually happening in his ministry, and is forcing the hand of his technical team to purchase something that they know they don't need, but they also know that they can't speak up because they're working for a narcissist, and they can't.
Is that how you feel?
He's just popping it off.
Is that the narcissist over there?
I don't work for Spencer.
I don't work for Toby.
Can we set the record clear for all you guys complaining to Dylan about me? He doesn't.
I do not work for Spencer.
But just come over here as a favor to your buddy.
Yes,
exactly.
I happen to just be in Knoxville, and it's just a 15-minute drive.
Yeah,
and
your
he
wife
needs a co-host.
needs you to get out of the house and put your
exactly.
energy somewhere else.
100%.
Exactly. That's just my opinion. I could be totally off-putting or offline with who you're talking about specifically, but I have seen it over and over and over again. Pastors who are completely disconnected from what actually ministry is, forcing the hand of people to spend money on things that do not matter, and it's total BS, and it needs to stop.
Yeah, I'm getting like just a little bit more patient in this discussion, just a little bit.
Is it the Adderall?
It's the Adderall.
It's finally kicked in.
Because I think some people, we started having this conversation a few months back, right? And it opened up really good dialogue with people. And some people have changed my mind in some ways. Some people have opened my eyes.
That's just me, by the way. Those people that's opened his eyes and changed his mind, it's just me.
Dylan just riles me up. He just makes it worse, actually. But we're talking about two really separate churches here. Because we're throwing around pastor bought LED wall, ceiling, like that example that you just threw out, Toby. That's a pretty common one that we see. And it's the loudest. Those are usually the loudest churches that we're seeing that on display. And we recently had a conversation about this. When we're talking about the church, we're often talking about the 0.5%.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually when we're talking about worship and technical ministry and around these conversations, we're talking about the 0.5. And then there's the majority of the American church that is like completely oblivious to those issues. And they're like, and sometimes I even feel a little guilty because they hear about this stuff on this podcast and they're like, that's actually happening. That's real.
Y'all have money? What money?
Yeah. Or they're going like, when you even ask the question, Blake, like, what should they do with the money instead? And they're like, we literally have no money. And because we give it all away, or because we have our missionaries overseas that we're supporting, or because we're doing, and it's like, and sometimes the worship and technical community can kind of be like, well, yeah, that's that type of church. We're different, and we've created this divide, but it is actually the minority of churches out there that have these massive issues that we're talking about with spending and, gluttonous attitudes towards gear and so on and so, in the constant comparison of they just bought that, it's not a widespread issue, which I'm encouraged by. What I'm concerned about is that it's becoming the primary topic of conversation, and now people are looking up to these churches because they're the loud ones, right? They're the ones out there that are they're the ones on Instagram.
They have all the followers, Spencer.
They have all the followers. They're the ones that have, and no shame in this, they have really talented teachers, and like they're just the ones that are their model is attractional church. So they're killing it. They're getting people attracted to them and what they're doing. But we have to also understand that there's like a weakness in that ministry that we're seeing in the worship and technical community. And it's what we're talking about right now. It's just waste. And so, because really what it comes down to is it's waste. What should we do with the money? Should we hire, properly pay somebody? Maybe, but like as the church, what are we supposed to do with the money really? Like what does scripture tell us to do with the money? It's actually not all that complicated, but I think sometimes we overcomplicate it because we like to dress it all up with all this junk in that 0.5%. And I'm not trying to villainize the large church. I've been a part of large church. I think they do incredible work, but we just have to understand some of the sickness in that church, just like there's sickness of country clubs in small church. There's sickness of the frozen chosen, right? The folks that are just kind of sitting and doing nothing and not telling people about the gospel. That's a problem too.
I have never heard the term frozen chosen before.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about the gear. We've harped on it a lot. But new volunteers, what do they actually need when they join the production team? What is it that they need? They need just a glass of water? Do they need a hug? Do they need a training manual?
My opinion, the first thing any new volunteer, any ministry needs to be immediately put into a care structure of some sort. This is the person that will care for you in our ministry. It doesn't have to be the boss, the top guy, top girl. From care comes everything else. That person's got to feel like they're connected and being pastored, or they will be put into the machine, cranked out, and they'll go to the next church. They'll go to the next church. My opinion, care comes first. Everything else is secondary to that.
I couldn't agree more. If somebody is interested in serving on your team, just think about their story prior to that moment. Maybe they just joined your church. Maybe they just decided, I gave my life to Jesus 10 years ago, but now I actually really want to start walking with him and learning his ways and walking in his ways. And pastor just said that part of that is service to the community, and I want to do that through the local church. Okay, so do they really want to come and yes, there are some volunteers that want to come and turn knobs and want to play guitar and so on and so forth, but more often than not, what we see is the person who they just want to help, and they also need a shepherd. They need somebody who's going to lead them in that process of serving, who's going to teach them what serving means. What is the heart posture when we come to serve in the local church? Care. They need somebody who's going to know their kids' names. This is just human stuff, right? So we can't that stuff needs to be priority number one. Before we have a course on MXU, it's called Before You Ever Turn the Knob. And I'm always telling new churches who subscribe to MXU, you run all your people through this before anything, before they learn gain structure, what are the things they need to know before they ever touch a piece of gear? And oftentimes it's pastoring and shepherding people towards what the Bible calls us to in service in the local church.
Yeah, it's the day that church leaders start fully understanding and realizing how powerful serving is. And there's hundreds of stories, if not thousands, probably thousands of individuals who started serving in the local church. And through that service, God touched their spouse, their kids, their nieces and nephews, their aunts and uncles. They started attending because this person came in board, fell in love with the church, fell in love with the mission, fell in love with the vision through serving, and then made the big invite to all their loved ones. They're like, hey, come check out what we're doing over here. Come see it. It's a power. They're not saying come watch me run audio or come see what God's doing in this church. And that happened through active service. Church leaders have got to put their hands around that and know how important it is. But you see success when you find out that these churches that have success in this model, they have very defined and well-oiled care structures. that people enter into the volunteer process and they feel like they're entering into a family, a team, and they're not just a green button or a red button on Planning Center.
Yeah.
Having a care structure is so wise because as you guys both described the story of someone who's about to serve, this is someone who's bought into your church, they're following Jesus, they want to follow Jesus more. But then what you started off on, people getting churned up and spit out. Like I have the flip side of your story. I have a couple friends who I've seen get chewed up in the church system and volunteering, never go to church ever again. Mm-hmm. Like one of my foundational mentors, like it's rough. If you don't lead with care, then you can churn up people who are you're most on fire. And like, do you ever get into the debates on if churches should have members or not?
I don't think
we haven't.
And I don't know if we want to go that.
I bring that up to say my hot take for the day, since we're doing hot takes, you don't need to track members. How many people do you have serving at your church? That's how many members you have. Everyone else is watching. You might have to chill for a time, but like if you've never served at your church, like that's when you're a member. But I hope they don't get churned up and spit out. So like, I really love hearing the care structure from you, Dillan, on that.
Yeah. Yeah. People go to, I've heard it said in some different ways, but I'm going to butcher this, just speaking from the heart here. So
you butchering up the volunteers and your advice.
Yeah, so it may not be laid out very well, but hurting people show up to hospitals, right? And when they drive past that building, they know it's a church, but internally they're like, I can potentially go to this place and receive the healing that I need. Well, that hospital needs doctors and nurses to do that. But in the church space, those doctors and nurses also need that healing. They came also. Like they showed up one day also.
Yeah.
And if they're not in a structure that is providing care for those doctors and nurses, they leave. Then the new person comes in that saw that hospital that needs hair, but there's no doctors and nurses there because they're churning so quickly because those doctors and nurses, that's just us in ministry. We've got to start making that a priority, that people are first. It's like everything Jesus said do ministry for.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that's just my rant, but
yeah. We always, anytime we're going to say anything that can be taken negative, we always make it anonymous with the church, but I'm going to call out somebody who did something really good. So Yvonne Talamentes, one of the best audio engineers out there, is at CFCV. He reached out to Blake and I a few months back and he said, hey guys, we're doing a volunteer appreciation night. Do you guys have any swag that you could send us that we could just give out to our people? We're like, oh, heck yeah. I don't remember what you sent him, but I was like, I love that. Like just asking for free stuff for your people. Mm-hmm. Like just simple things like that. Just love your people.
Yep. It's good.
Blake, how do we ask for a disaster story when this whole episode has been a disaster? Do you even want to go there? Or
look, I love a good disaster story. I feel like you guys remind me of Toby and how y'all see a lot of churches. Like we talk to church techs that hang out at their church. I feel like you guys have a wide range of disasters you could tell us about. So if you're involved in the disaster, that's awesome. But if it's a disaster you've observed, like maybe you were actually the person that advised the 338 in the original story, and then you left the church and now you're on this podcast. So any disaster stories?
That'd be amazing if like Dillan suddenly revealed, like, yeah,
turns his hat backwards and he's like, it was me. The commission was
I have
nice.
been a part of a lot of bad purchasing and a lot of approvals. I'll say it firsthand. And the church that I left to start my own things, I don't know if I left them in the best situation with the consoles that we purchased while I was there. Speaking on consoles specifically, this is not a disaster story. I'm just saying, I have no shame in my game. That's why I'm so passionate about this podcast, because I'm not, we say it all the time, like we're not on here because we have everything figured out. We're on here because we've made thousands of mistakes. And we're just trying to say, hey, we made these mistakes. We own it. We admit it. We're trying to help you not make the same mistakes.
Yeah.
Disaster story. I don't know.
How about I'm gonna switch it. Can you guys give us the inside information about what it means or used to mean at MXU to get Blaked?
Oh gosh. Talk about not having contacts for the Adderall we're on.
Come on.
Apparently I was my own Slack meme emoji. I don't know any more than that, but you could get Blaked at MXU.
Blake? You know,
I've never heard that. I'm all in.
Oh, you never heard this, Dylan? I don't know what it means either.
This is the people, those of you listening and watching this, you see Blake and you're like, oh, this guy's really entertaining. And he's just kind of,
one way to put it.
He's, Dwight Schrute. He's kind of got that vibe.
Yep.
Early on, a number of years ago, Blake just had this way with our people here at MXU that was just like,
he has a way, that's for sure.
We haven't spent enough time with this guy. And so for now, we're going to chalk it up to we don't like him. And, So
Toby, you're distracting Spencer from the story.
We posted this on social
we gotta
too.
get a poster of that. That
Okay.
is sick.
Hang on, I've been looking for this
crazy.
answer for 5 years. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
He's like, no, this is like, this is
This means a lot to Blake.
This is why I woke up at 4:30 a.m. to get to Knoxville this morning for this moment.
That's amazing.
So we just decided, there was there was just multiple. You remember the email? Remember you sending an email?
I sent so many
And
emails.
he'd send an email, we wouldn't get back to him for a day or something, and then 24 hours, and somebody on our team's like, and he'd be like, hey, any update on this? And somebody on our team would be like, hey, Blake, like, it's only been 24 hours. And then Blake would respond like, yeah, exactly. Like he would just say,
But your defense, how long does it take to return an email?
Yeah. You don't reply to all your emails at the end of the day.
that person's no longer part of our organization. But anyways, all that to say, all that to say, we kind of developed this internal lingo of like, yeah, you just got Blaked. And usually what that meant is when somebody came to the table with little to zero social tact. And
Like right now.
This is so fair.
And so then we, at the time we were using Slack to communicate internally. And so we had custom emojis, and one was Blake's face. And it was,
I don't remember this, but
and
I don't think I was ever on
it
there.
was,
Slack.
you got Blaked. So
This was before Toby hired my current boss, Brian Deshawn, who has helped me at least achieve 1% more patience with people.
Dude, like a month or two ago, Blake was like, Toby, do you know how expensive counseling is? And I said, yes, I hired your counselor. His name is Brian Deshawn. He's your boss.
Oh, goodness.
You know what I'll say though? I'll brag about you for a minute, if I can, since someone else does.
I was about to. Actually,
thanks,
but
Dylan.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I am in the early stages of building my company. And what I need is someone like a Blake who is just constant,
Yes.
going, pursuing, driving for answers, because you're only doing that because you want to see the mission move forward quickly. And I'm like, man, how much is Toby paying you right now?
Hey, let's talk. Everyone can be bought.
Because I need someone driving people right now saying, hey, it's been 24 hours since we need answers.
Yeah.
I like that about it.
I always say,
Thanks, Dylan.
we always say, Eric and I always have this conversation. We need somebody who will just run through a brick wall, any brick wall in front of them. They will
The Kool-Aid man, Blake.
They will act like just a dog off the leash and go figure out the solution. So yeah, Blake, you're good at that. And in all fairness, all it took was one hang, and then we were like, okay, we understand what to do with this guy now.
Yeah.
So if any of you out there don't like Blake Hodges, just hang out with him once and then you'll get it.
There is a tech takeaway there, though, on volunteers. We were just talking about volunteers and them getting churned up. And you might have a volunteer that you're like, I don't like that guy. Like, I've had a lot of people in my life where I was like, I don't like that guy. I have one hang with them and I'm like, I love that guy. So that would be my tech takeaway. It's like, if you have someone in your life you don't like, go hang out with them outside of the context you hang out with them in. Go to your favorite, can I say bar? Go to your favorite
Watering hole.
Where else do you go? Yeah, the watering hole. Go do something. Hang out with them. So that would be my tech takeaway from this episode. Appreciate y'all's kind words. What would everyone else's tech takeaway be? We talked about gear. We've talked about volunteers. We talked about caring.
Buy 338. It'll solve all your problems.
It doesn't have to pertain to the episode. If you're just, I can't imagine you'll have another soapbox. There's got to be a closet full of soapboxes here. But if you've got something else, you're like, I wanted to say this. This is your moment.
On spending the money, I would pretend or act like you're spending your own money. And if you're getting ready to purchase something that's unsettling to you because you're treating it as if it's your money, then you probably don't need to purchase it. And you probably feel that way. You feel that tension because you know deep down inside there's other places to put that money. So as a tech leader, worship pastor, whatever, you're getting ready to purchase something, put yourself in the shoes, say like, hey, I own this business. This is my money. Is this the best place for this money to go? It'll challenge your thinking. It'll shift some things around in your brain.
Yeah, I don't know if this classifies as a tech takeaway, but it has to do somewhat with what we're talking about here in tech. We like to do a lot to negate the things that we know inside, the hard work we need to do, right? I was just telling, my wife and I were talking about this. We had a little fire pit discussion last night, and I was just saying, man, there's these things that I'm realizing I've gotten myself so busy and I've made all of these things the priority. And deep down, I know there's just a few really hard things I need to work on and I need to figure out. And I think oftentimes in the worship and technical community, I've been there, we like to make it about the console we need to buy. We like to make it about the exit. We make a disaster out of all these things when really we might need to consider, what is it right now, beginning of 2026, what is it that you need to lean into and do the hard work on? Whether it's your relationship with Christ, whether it's your relationship with others, whether it's your attitude towards others. Just dig deeper and start really looking at the real problems. Is the real problem that you don't have the right console? Probably not. And stop making that the real biggest problem in front of you. What's the real problem? And find that and solve it. Move that mountain. That's what I would say.
Do I get a tech takeaway? I'm the only one who didn't.
You can get a tech takeaway.
I'm going to give it back to you. I'm going to say, for any production ministry, like, recruit a Blake Hodges or a Dwight Schrute first. Because if you were on my team, and this goes back to the beginning of Church Gear, you're like, I'll do anything to make sure this team wins. So my first thing would be like to recruit you to my team. And then I'd say, Blake, we need 10 more volunteers. Go get them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm going to go get them.
Yes. You'd be like, challenge accepted.
That was the first time I've ever heard Toby kind of inadvertently say something nice about
I know.
me. Like, that was cool.
Dylan, I have a notes app on my phone of just nice things people have said to me because I was here at MXU and Spencer said something that was so nice to me. It touched me so deeply. I started keeping track of the nice things people have said to me.
What was it? What did I say?
You said every good marketer has like just enough of a screw loose. It's not too loose, but it's enough loose. And I think you have that. And I was like, Spencer admires my messed up screws in my head.
Dude, your screws are shooting out everywhere, dude.
Spencer's compliments are there, but they can also be stabbing at times.
Oh, Dylan, confession. Church Tech confessional season's over, but you can have
just
one.
Go listen to any of our podcasts.
Oh, that's amazing. Well,
wow.
I had to put a plug in that screw to keep it from falling out. What would you guys like to plug? And where would you guys point people towards? You guys are real legit. Like, y'all have awesome stuff. Don't be humble. Send people to y'all's awesome resources.
You want to talk about the weddings?
Yeah, we do big weddings.
Or if you're going to die.
I want Dylan to get a wedding so bad from this.
Hey, weddings pay.
Oh, yes, they do.
I don't know, man. We're a live events company. We love partnering with churches and organizations that put on events. And we don't work with all churches because not all churches do events that would make sense with a partnership with our company. But man, we are always. I try to be as available as I can. Spencer can speak to that. I am one message away on Instagram. I mean, just hit me up, text. I always give my phone number out. I've given my phone number out on the podcast. I truly just want to be a resource to churches in any way, whether it be live events, leadership, culture. I can't speak much on the tech stuff, but I know plenty of people who can. And
So your phone number 1-900.
He's given it out before.
Yeah.
I've given it before, and I've had a few people text, and those text messages have become relationships. And they
So what's your phone number?
865-466-0894. And the reason why I'm so confident in putting my personal cell phone number in is because everyone wants to be different or better, but no one wants to do the work that it takes. And even texting me is too much work, and they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that challenge. We're trying to be better at plugging in ourselves around here. Honestly, we do so many podcasts and stuff on camera. We try to build the relational equity before we ever really make the pitch. If you want to learn more about MXU, though, I mean, really, we're in a pretty exciting season where we're changing the way volunteer teams can be built in the church. That's through, obviously, video training with a learning management system, but there's so much to that when it comes to quizzes, health scores, team health scores, automated health scores, communication tools, AI scheduling with integration back to Planning Center to ultimately get you your time back. Like, there's so much happening that we couldn't just, sometimes it's hard to figure out how to get it all to fit on a marketing page. If you want to learn more, you can go to getmxu.com. You can book a demo. Likely you'll get hooked up with me. Would love to meet you, show you more around, and learn more about your team. So
We talked a lot in this episode at the beginning about people that will give you bad advice and will leave you with the wrong stuff. These guys will give you good advice and leave you with the right stuff. So we're not going to call out the people who gave bad advice, but we can call out the people who, oh gosh, Toby's singing. And that is it for today. Thank you guys for your time and for joining us.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you back next week for more absurd stories, tech takeaways, and overall buffoonery here at the Church Gear Studios.
Blake, you know my favorite part about this whole podcast?
The fact that you get to speak and say words because you love talking?
No, it's the fact that it's almost over, and as soon as we stop recording, you and Spencer can start arguing politics.
Oh boy. Well, let's go get some lunch, and you should text this episode to someone you want to get lunch with and argue about the topics on today's episode.